Dana White made a strange remark after Sean Strickland shocked the world by beating Israel Adesanya to win the middleweight title at UFC 293.
Israel looked like he was in slow motion. He looked like he couldn't get off. He looked like he was really stiff tonight. He looked very slow.
Was Israel Adesanya really slow and sloppy? Was he injured? Was he not at his best? The answer to all the questions is a big no. So how did someone who fights like Carly Shay from iCarly manage to beat the best technical striker in mixed martial arts? The fight didn't hit the mat even once, yet Strickland managed to win comfortably, proving that simplicity is key, and it's never simple to keep things simple. He was the better man on the night, and Adesanya, unlike Dana, acknowledged it.
I had a different plan for this, but again, life throws curveballs. Win or lose, I wasn't going to say much anyway, but right now, I lost tonight to the better man on the night.
Entering the fight, Adesanya was a -600 favorite. He was expected to pick Strickland apart, but he ended up getting a taste of his own medicine. Adesanya's performance on fight night wasn't a matter of not being 100%, as Dana White suggests. Rather, he underestimated Strickland, and he ultimately paid the price for it. The last style bender is a master when it comes to counter-striking, and he melted world-class strikers like Paulo Costa, Robert Whittaker, and Alex Pereira because the three of them went for looping shots, and they got caught because their chins were exposed. Apart from Pereira, no one else really pushed Adesanya and cut off the cage. Most of his opponents either stayed at range to avoid his power shots, but were then picked apart with leg kicks. Others went for takedowns and failed. Strickland took the fight to Adesanya. He chased the champion like a demon and cracked his chin with punches down the pipe at regular intervals. Sean produced the biggest moment of the fight when he dropped the champ with a huge right hand in the first round. Adesanya was doing fine up until the knockdown when Strickland turned the tables on him.
How pivotal of a first round with you dropping him in the way that you finished the first round? I feel like that kind of changed the tide of the entire fight.
From then on, Strickland pressured Adesanya, cut off the cage, and landed his 1-2s like there was no tomorrow. Adesanya's output noticeably diminished after getting clocked because he didn't want any of that legendary California power. That's the beauty of the brutal and unforgiving sport of MMA. Regardless of your perceived invincibility, a single impactful strike can instill doubt and caution in your head. Adesanya fought with doubt and caution throughout, while Strickland relied on his simple yet effective fighting style. Strickland religiously followed the fundamentals and reaped the benefits big time. He choked Adesanya for room and gave him little space for counters. Strickland's utilization of straight punches played a pivotal role in safeguarding his chin. This is one of the key advantages of employing straight punches. They combine speed and reach while minimizing the vulnerability of your chin, unlike the more exposed nature of looping shots and hooks. Strickland is hardly a flashy striker like Adesanya himself, Anderson Silva, or Stephen Thompson. He's a flat-footed slugger, but at the same time, he's very calculated. Strickland is technical in a very simplistic way, but most importantly, he's not afraid of standing in someone's face and trading shots in the pocket. If he can stand and bang with a scary dude like Alex Pereira, what made anyone think that he couldn't do it against Adesanya? If anything, Sean Strickland proved that he's one of the best boxers in the UFC middleweight division, even better than Adesanya.
But whenever we started swinging and banging and he threw some punches, and I was like, man, that was really predictable. That was really easy to see. That came from a mile away. I'm a way better boxer than you. Let's fight. It was kind of like, as you get in there, you start realizing, I'm a lot better than you.
The champ was taken by surprise, just like most of the people in the MMA community who thought Strickland was a lamb to slaughter. Turns out he was a wolf in sheep's clothing on fight night. Regardless of what Dana White says, Strickland put on a masterclass against IZZY. He completely neutralized the former champ's leg kick-heavy game plan, and the champion ran out of ideas quickly. As good as Adesanya is, he struggles when he fails to impose his will on his opponents. That being said, Adesanya didn't have a subpar performance. He was pretty good, especially early on. Instead, Strickland exceeded everyone's expectations. What's intriguing is that Strickland might not fully grasp his own elite status. He's an exceptional stand-up fighter, which is why he didn't need to take Adesanya down to beat him. That itself is enough to solidify him as the best middleweight on the planet. He outmaneuvered the best striker in the division with pace, pressure, and cardio. Wrestling also played a role in the fight. No takedowns were attempted, let alone secured, but Adesanya's mind played tricks on him. The Nigerian New Zealander anticipated takedowns because he thought Strickland wouldn't stand and trade shots with him. During a pre-fight interview, Strickland had disclosed his focus on wrestling preparation for this specific bout, which led Team City Kickboxing to anticipate it. Since Strickland mostly level changes after 1-2s, Adesanya stayed on his heels throughout, anticipating something similar. Strickland used that leverage to perfection, and he's now the undisputed champion of the division. Who should he fight next? Dana White wants Strickland and Adesanya to fight again in the United States because obviously that means a lot of money. However, Izzy wants to spend some time with his family before going back to the drawing board. So, Strickland's first title defense may take place against Dricus du Plessis, the man who was originally scheduled to face Adesanya at UFC 293. Strickland versus du Plessis would be a fun fight for sure. Who's going to win? Let's turn our attention to the co-main event between Tai Tuivasa and Alexander Volkov, which the towering Russian won by submission in the second round. Volkov took control of the fight from the opening bell. The Russian used devastating kicks and combinations to establish the range, making it difficult for the Aussie to launch any kind of offense. He literally beat the brakes off Tuivasa before submitting him in the second round in front of a partisan crowd. The Russian is often discounted as a legitimate contender in the UFC heavyweight division, but after a statement victory against Tuivasa, that narrative should change. While it is true that Volkov has already fought nearly 50 times, he is still only 34 years old, an age at which heavyweights typically enter their prime. To put things into perspective, John Jones and Stipe Miocic won the heavyweight belt at 34 years old, and Francis Ngannou won it at 35 years old, so Volkov should be very confident heading into fights in the future. Volkov is the dark horse of the division. Who should fight a top contender like Sergey Pavlovich next?
If we will fight, it will be really like a big fight for Russian fans, for sure. But we trained with Sergey Pavlovich a really long time, maybe a few years together in Moscow when we live. So I helped him to prepare for many fights, to Elias especially, and he helped me a lot of too. Right now we're training at different places.
Tai Tuivasa is in a tough spot, however. He's now on a 3-fight losing streak, with his other 2 defeats coming at the hands of Cyril Gane and Sergey Pavlovich. The Aussie needs a step down in competition because his aggressive fighting style isn't working particularly well against high-level and technical campaigners. Tuivasa is only 30 years old, so he should spend a year or 2 fighting lesser competition while upgrading his skills. Mr. Bam Bam still has a long way to go, so we shouldn't be too worried. After all, failures are part of success. That being said, what do you guys think about Sean Strickland's performance? Was Israel Adesanya not at his best? And who should Tai Tuivasa and Alexander Volkov fight next? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. To stay up to date with the latest happenings in mixed martial arts, please subscribe to Takedown MMA and turn on those notifications. Thank you for your continued love and support, and we'll see you in the next one.